Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to get into a quick Asian fusion recipe and it calls for just a few ingredients. So stay tuned. Okay, so this is a Thai noodle recipe and you can do this both for vegans and meat eaters. So first what you're going to need is 1 fresh lime. Also going to need some bean sprouts. And according to how big you want this meal to be, we're going to go in with the fresh, already cut zucchini noodles, 2 package of chicken breast tenderloin, and then for our seasonings, we're just going to go in with some ginger. Here we have some ground ginger. Either or is good, just depending on what you want. You could either cut this up and do the chunks, or you could just do the powder. Some honey garlic sauce just for the extra kick, hoisin sauce, coconut palm sugar, or you can use brown sugar. I'm also going to be using some crushed red pepper, some ginger rose and Himalayan salt seasoning, black pepper, paprika, some soy sauce, and some lime juice. You could do the fresh limes as well. And don't forget your garlic powder right here. Alrighty, so we're gonna prepare our sauce. And I'm just using a small round baking ramekin bowl. So we're gonna go in with our red hot honey garlic sauce. We're just gonna pour some of that in here. And I'm just eyeing it, honestly. Just enough to cover the noodles and the chicken. Next, we're going to go in with a little bit of hoisin sauce. Again, I'm just eyeing this one, and you want to do the equal amounts of all 3, or whichever ones you feel would best complement your recipe. Our final touch, the classic kikkoman soy sauce. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I had to go back because the other box of sugar was expired. So I'm just gonna go in and do 1 and 2. And that's good for your sauce right there. Also gonna go ahead and put a little lime juice as well. And just a little bit of ginger powder. Just for a kick in the seasoning as well. Then we're gonna go in with a little bit of water. Just as a side note, this recipe is peanut free. So if you have peanut allergies, this would be perfect for you as well. But if you would like to use the option of a peanut sauce, just go ahead and put some peanut butter. 1 tablespoon of peanut butter will do inside your sauce. Or you could also just add the raw peanuts to the noodles as well. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and opt to put a little bit of Skippy in this one right here. Just a little tablespoon, because right now the lime and the garlic powder is giving it a perfect kick to it. But I'm just going to go ahead and add the peanut butter. So that's our sauce right there. Don't worry if the peanut butter chunks aren't smoothing out. When you put it into the noodles, it'll be just fine. And of course the flavor is there. So now we're going to move on to the chicken. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and get started with rinsing off the chicken. Again, we got the Perdue tenderloins. Run in and rinsing off the chicken cutlets. Alrighty, so the chicken is out on the cutting board. And we're just going to pat the chicken dry before we begin cutting. Removing excess water and making sure that our meat is nice and tender and ready to go. Alrighty, so we got the chicken. Now we're just gonna go ahead and start slicing and dicing. And again, if you're doing this, a vegan rendition of this recipe, you would do the same just with your tofu, or purchase the tofu that's already in the chunks so you won't even have to worry about this step. Alrighty, so we got our big pile of chicken ready to go. And now it's time for seasoning and prep. Alrighty, so in the meantime, while we're gonna season up our chicken, just gonna go ahead and put some olive oil into the pan. And we decided to opt for some extra noodles just as a base. So go ahead and get your water boiling for that while you're seasoning up your chicken. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and season up our chicken right here. Gonna go in with, again, the same, actually some of the same seasonings that were used in the peanut mix sauce. So gonna go in with the ground ginger again, and you don't need a lot of this, just enough to season up your chicken real nice. Next, we're just gonna go in again with some of the garlic powder. You want to put a nice amount of that in the chicken. Black pepper, just a little bit. Gonna go in with some chicken seasoning as well, just to make sure it's extra tender. Gonna follow through with just a little bit of paprika, a little bit of crushed red pepper, and then gonna go in with the rose and Himalayan salt. You don't really need this, but this is just an extra addition for me, just to bring out some of those extra flavors and goodness we got going on in here. Alrighty, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. If you already have some diced up onion, you wanna go ahead and just put that in the pot with your oil. Gonna stir up the chicken with all the goodness up in here. So just continue to stir until you're ready to put it in the pot. Ready to go ahead and throw our chicken in with the onion. Chicken is in here, and you're gonna go ahead and saute until it's nice and brown. So just go ahead and leave it on medium heat. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add the noodles to the pot. Okay, so again, it's really simple. Just gonna go in and start mixing up the chicken with the onions and the olive oil. And then also I got the noodles going on right here. So that's what they're looking like. Just making sure that I'm keeping an eye out on both. I'm ready just to go ahead and dump the noodles with the strainer. Got the strainer right here. Go ahead and take some cold water and just, alrighty, so I'm back at the meat, and wow, the meat is smelling very delectable. Just the onion powder, everything, the whole kitchen, everything. The whole kitchen is smelling good. So I'm gonna go ahead and start dropping in the zucchini noodles. All right, so we got our zucchini noodles, and then we're gonna go ahead and put some of the bean sprouts on there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and opt to put half of it on here just for an extra crunch and some veg. Now that we got that in there, we're just gonna go ahead and begin to stir your noodles before we add our sauce. You want to make sure you're getting the noodles nice and tender so they're soft, but not too mushy, because again, this is the zucchini noodle, so it can mush up on you real fast. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead, start with our sauce that we made earlier that's been sitting and marinating for a minute, and just pouring that on the noodle. Here we go, bubbling goodness on the stove. So I'm just gonna go ahead, the sauce has already been applied as well as all of our vegetables, and I'm just gonna let it sit for just a moment before it gets plated. So just take a look at that. I don't know if you guys can see all the juicy, bubbly goodness. And the best part about this recipe is that it's 100% whole. You don't have to worry about preservatives and additives. And this one is vegan friendly. So if you wanted to make a vegan version of this, all you would have to do is switch up the chicken with your tofu, add the same or similar recipes, and there you go. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this sit, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, and we're all wrapped up here. As you could see, the meal was just plated up. You can see the steam from the noodles coming off. Got our lime wedges and also our nuts. I was able to find a stash of nuts, and we're ready to dig in. So thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know if you tried out this recipe, and I hope to see you again soon.